Here we are in our web-based portal for AppGrid, the savvisdirect product for creating, configuring, and deploying private cloud solutions in minutes. The private cloud paradigm allows you to enjoy all the benefits of cloud computing, such as flexibility in architecting your infrastructure and ultimate scalability to match your needs, all in a secure, predictable performance, dedicated platform. Today, we will be defining and provisioning a new web application that our company needs to deploy for our clients. The web application consists of an N-tier architecture requiring a web server, a MySQL content database, high-value NAS storage, network connections, and the appropriate security layer. Let's get started. The AppGrid Dashboard displays our account status information, which includes all resources allocated to our grid level messages, and account information. Additionally, we can see our IP address range, layer 3 IPs, and VLAN ID range. As you can see, the dashboard presents a pretty complete picture of our private cloud. Within the AppGrid Private Cloud Dashboard, an application is a definition of logically grouped items that work together to serve a function. The application we create today can be used as a building block in another application tomorrow. Upon opening the Application tab, we see a list of pre-configured templates, including a backup helper, LAMP stack, and migration helper. These templates allow us to save time and money. To begin creating our new application, let's click on the toolbar and select New Application. Let's give it a name and select on OK. Now our new application appears in the list. Of course, we have not defined any server or network components. These components are referred to as appliances. Let's open this application and define the appliances. First, we launch the application editor. Our application editor user interface consists of 3 segments. On the top is the toolbar. On the left is a category of pre-built and tested applications such as a database, NAS device, or Linux server, and on the right is the canvas. The canvas is where we define and edit the architecture. When that is complete, we deploy the full appliance with server and network appliances into our private cloud with just a few mouse clicks. We begin by dropping in our MySQL database appliance onto the canvas. Next, we drop in a network gateway firewall referred to as an in appliance, which allows data to transfer in from the public internet. Next is a net appliance, which allows data to transfer out to the public internet. Then we drop in our NAS appliance, which allows network storage. And finally, there is the web server. Now on the screen are all the devices we will need for our solution. Of course, they are just a collection of individual appliances. In order to create an integrated architecture, we must do the following. Number 1, define connectivity between appliances. Number 2, define IP addresses and network mask. And number 3, define the data volumes on the database and NAS appliance. First, let's work on connectivity. We take the out terminal of the gateway appliance into the in terminal of the web server. This allows public internet traffic to be routed to the web server. We want the web server to access the database for content, so we connect the DB terminal of the server to the MySQL in terminal. To provide NAS storage for the web server, we connect the FS terminal, which stands for file system, to the NFS terminal of the NAS appliance. We also connect the log terminal to the CIFS terminal. This allows us to collect log files in a centralized location to assist with monitoring our web application and troubleshooting. We also connect the net terminal to the in terminal of the net appliance. This allows data to go out to the public internet. The exclamation marks denote the fact that the system will not allow you to deploy a solution without setting parameters on the indicated appliances. These warnings are a failsafe against deploying an architecture that will not function correctly. Let's click on the exclamation mark to see what specific tasks remain. As you can see, what remains are items 2 and 3 from before: IP addresses and their net mask, and data volume definitions. To set the IP address, let's right-click on the canvas and select Modify Application Boundaries. Select Properties. Click on Add to create an assembly, which is a definition of network connections. We will create assemblies for IP inbound traffic, IP outbound traffic, the net mask, the default gateway, and DNS. You can use any naming convention for these assemblies. We will return later to the screen to define specific values. When the assemblies have all been created, click on OK. Next, we want to define IP addresses. To do so, right-click on the canvas and select Configure Application. The IP addresses, net mask, gateway, and DNS values all come from the range that we were assigned and that are shown on the dashboard. Let's assign IP addresses to these assembly definitions now. At this point, the assemblies have been given IP addresses. What remains is to assign the assemblies to specific appliances in our application. We do this by editing the property values of the individual appliances. First is the input appliance. We simply select the appropriate assembly. If we ever have to update the address, we would simply update the assembly definition one time. In the same way, we will update the net device. Again, we simply select the assembly names from the pull-down. Now, as you can see, some of the exclamation marks have been removed. Checking on our status, you will see that we only have item 3 left, the 2 data volumes. Let's take care of that. Right-click on the canvas and select Manage Volumes. Click on Add, provide a functional name, and size it. Then select the file system, and finally select Next. Now the system creates this volume and prepares the file system. So let's create the volume for the database. Again, click on Add, and we specify the same parameters here: its name, the size, and file system type. Finally, we click on Next, and the volume is provisioned. Now that the volumes have been created, the final task is to assign them to the individual appliances. Going back to the canvas, we right-click on the database server and click on User Volumes. Now we assign the proper volume to that database. Next, we do the same thing for the NAS. Right-click and select User Volumes. Then on the next screen, select the appropriate data volume, and we're good to go. As you can see, we have now cleared the warnings. At this point, we are completely configured and ready to deploy with default values for the device attributes. If it is required, we can always come back later and tweak the configuration to meet our needs. For now, we're good to go, so let's deploy.